Hey, what's up? It is Dan or DMad96 here, and welcome to part 3 of our F1 2016 career mode. And we arrive here in Shanghai with a new upgrade fitted to the car, and that is of course the downforce upgrade, the front wing turning vanes that we researched into at the previous round in Bahrain. As we move on to the first practice session, after 2 solid point finishes, an 8th in Australia followed by a 9th in Bahrain, we are enjoying a good start to our F1 career with Haas F1. And we arrive here at a track which I am not brilliant at I'll be honest there. But it should be an interesting one nonetheless, with our aim of course being to beat our teammate Romain Grosjean. And it is going to be an exciting one. We haven't beaten him so far yet this season, but we are going to aim for it today as we now take on the track acclimatization test. And it didn't really get off to the best of starts. We didn't beat our target score first time round, but yeah, it wasn't a brilliant lap from me. As we now move on to the second target test, and we did easily beat the first target score. But quickly, actually, before we move on to the qualifying session, I just want to quickly shout out my second channel, because I actually finally uploaded my first video on that channel only a few days ago now. It was a Golf with Friends video with the Obscure Lad, so there'll be a link down below in the description for you guys to go and check out. And let me know what you guys think in the comment section of that video, and let me know if you want more as well, because I definitely want to make that channel a bit more consistent than normal. So please check out the link in the description. As we come around to finish the qualifying pace objective, the first time I've shown that in the video, and we did beat our first target test, but again in the end we just gave up with beating the purple target, and we did the same thing with the tyre management. We just gave up on that really and decided to end the practice quite early. But there you can see our current rivalry update with our teammate Romain Grosjean, and we can beat him in the qualifying session if we get a higher grid position than him. But anyway, we're going to find out where we did qualify, as it's time for the qualifying report. Qualifying kicked off at the Chinese Grand Prix with Lewis Hamilton fastest in session 1 from Daniel Ricciardo in the Red Bull. Pascal Wehrlein improved his manner to 20th on the grid as Felipe Nasr joins Rio Haryanto on the back row. The other Mercedes took control in Q2 as Nico Rosberg topped the session from fellow super soft runners Raikkonen and Verstappen after Hamilton set his quickest lap on the soft tyres. Both Haas drivers edged into Q3 along with Felipe Massa at the expense of teammate Valtteri Bottas. But normal service resumed in Q3 as Lewis Hamilton leads an all-Mercedes front row with Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Raikkonen looking to pose a threat in the race, sitting behind on the next row.
Everyone expects you to be stronger tomorrow. I imagine you must hope so.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. So if everyone's expectation turns out to be right, very welcome. So
Red Bull and Haas occupy the following 2 rows as Dan Phillips takes a career best 7th. Lewis Hamilton has his sights set on his 3rd consecutive victory here in Shanghai, whilst his teammate Nico Rosberg and the 2 Ferrari drivers will be doing the best that they can to push him to the limit. It was dead heat at Red Bull, with both drivers setting identical times, as Dan Phillips continues to impress at Haas over his experienced teammate Romain Grosjean. It was a tough day for Valtteri Bottas, who narrowly missed out on Q3 ahead of the 2 Toro Rosso drivers and Jenson Button in the McLaren. Both Force India drivers endured another tough session as Renault, Sauber and Manor once again make up the final 3 rows for this weekend's Chinese Grand Prix. So before we move on to the race, we are going straight to the rivalry update against our teammate Romain Grosjean, and with that 7th place over his 8th place, that means that we have managed to beat him and we have won our first rivalry of this career mode. And we don't know who we are going to get until the next round in Russia. But we would like to still try and beat our teammate anyway out on the track, as we have failed to so far this season. So I think it's going to be a close race between both me and him, especially that we're starting next to each other on the grid. But anyway, moving on to the Chinese Grand Prix, the 3rd round of the season. There in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, you can see an update on the Drivers' Championship, with Lewis Hamilton, the pole sitter, sitting very much firmly at the top of the Drivers' Championship, with Kimi Raikkonen's victory in Bahrain moving out to 2nd, and Nico Rosberg sitting in 3rd. There you can see the championship leader. He's probably hoping for a good race today, as well as is Kimi Raikkonen sitting in 4th position, both drivers gunning for a win and to try and take that top place in the championship. But now moving on to our point of view and the formation lap for the 3rd time this season. And like I said at the start of the video, our aim is to beat our teammate, like it is in every race really. But in the previous 2 races we have finished at the back end of the points. We want to try and move up the field and maybe finish in a mid-table position like 5th or 6th. But anyway, moving straight to the start of a race, the 5 laps are about to illuminate here in Shanghai, and when they go out, we are underway here for the Chinese Grand Prix, and it's an appalling start for Romain Grosjean, and Fernando Alonso is going to get ahead of him straight away, but meanwhile you can see we are alongside the Ferrari. Well, I think that is Sebastian Vettel, and Max Verstappen's had an awful start in the Red Bull, but the 2 Mercedes drivers leading going down in towards turn 2, I think it is, and we just about stay ahead of Verstappen, and we are trying to now get ahead of Sebastian Vettel. Kimi Räikkönen under pressure from Daniel Ricciardo in the Red Bull as we go down towards the hairpin, and we are right behind Vettel. We're going to make an ambitious dive at the inside of both Ferrari drivers, and we have moved up into 4th position. What an ambitious overtake, and it's brilliant that we managed to pull that off. We are now in 4th position behind the Red Bull of Daniel Ricciardo and the 2 Mercedes drivers, who are probably going to pull away as they are in the most OP car on the grid as we move on to the back straight, and Kimi Räikkönen is going to be all over us with that superior straight on speed that Ferrari has, and we're also going to keep an eye on Sebastian Vettel as well, and we are going to try and defend the position as hard as we can. Meanwhile ahead you can see Daniel Ricciardo fighting with Nico Rosberg for 2nd place, and as you saw at the Bahrain Grand Prix, the leaders battling ahead did help us out in the race, and we did manage to keep up with the front runners before the pit stops anyway. But now, starting at the 2nd lap of the Grand Prix, we have got a very hard task on our hands to try and stay ahead of these 2 very feisty Ferrari drivers, but we are catching up to Rosberg and Ricciardo, who are both battling strong, and they are still side by side. They have been side by side for an awfully long time here, and we're almost right at the back of Nico Rosberg there, but Ricciardo has made that position stick over the Mercedes driver, and it would be brilliant to try and get a podium here, but I don't think it will be likely as we move on to lap 3 now. Raikkonen tries to make a move inside, and he is spun. I think we made contact with the front of that Ferrari, and we're going to have a look at replay now on board with Sebastian Vettel, and I think there was a little bit of contact with both of us, and that is a big shame for not just Kimi Räikkönen but the other drivers behind, because Sebastian Vettel was just stopped for some random reason, and I think he has held up a massive train behind. But now moving on to the end of lap 3, and it seems like it is going to be a very early pit stop for the front runners here, and the strategy was to pit on lap 3. I don't really know why, but anyway, we are going to come into the pits and fit on the medium set of tyres. Very interesting strategy call here, and 4th place, a top 5 finish, could be ours if we can just keep the car on the track. I know we'll be a lot slower than everyone else who will be on faster tyres, but we should be in for a much exciting ending, as our strategy plan is a 3-stop strategy, fitting 2 sets of the soft tyres on right at the end of the race. But we rejoin in a comfortable 7th place position behind Valtteri Bottas, who I'm pretty sure hasn't stopped yet. Of course, starting on the soft tyres, he can choose whatever tyre he wants, starting outside the top 10, but we go round the inside of a Williams driver, and we have taken back 6th position from the Williams driver, now right up behind Daniel Ricciardo, but of course being in the much faster Red Bull and on the faster tyres, it's not going to be very easy to catch up to him. As you can see, he's already nearly 5 seconds ahead of us. We have Sebastian Vettel behind us, who is also on the super soft tyres and in the much faster Ferrari, of course. But now moving on to the end of lap 6, we run very slightly wide at the end of the final corner, and Sebastian Vettel is interestingly quite a way behind us. He was 2.5 seconds, he's actually now 3 seconds, and apparently that was a problem with Vettel's car, as our race engineer did actually say that Vettel was slowing and had a serious problem. But 2 laps later, moving on to lap 9 now, and Max Verstappen has got ahead of him. We are going to move up into 2nd position as Nico Rosberg and Daniel Ricciardo have come in, I'm presuming, for the yellow-walled soft tyres. As we move quite a way ahead now, all the way up to lap 13, not a lot happened. And as you can see there, in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, we are due into the pits on the 14th lap of the race. And at this point, my tyres were in a pretty bad state right now, and we decided to stay out for another lap and follow the strategy's orders, but Nico Rosberg was closing in on us, and we were really struggling with tyre wear. I don't know why we actually didn't come into the pits at the end of the previous lap, and as you can see, we are running very wide into turn 1. Nico Rosberg is going to try and pull off a brilliant move around the outside. We're trying to defend around the inside line, but we just simply don't have the traction on those very worn medium tyres, and Rosberg goes through into 2nd position. We now move down to 3rd. I think it will be 4th or 5th on the track, I'm not quite sure, but we are behind the Mercedes driver. We tried to defend the position, but it just wasn't going to happen really, and Rosberg is going to put away on those much fresher tyres and faster as well. Now going to the left-hander, we're being caught up by Daniel Ricciardo, who is also on a fresh set of soft tyres, but there you can see the bottom left-hand tyre has unfortunately suffered a puncture, and that's an absolute shame for us, and that means we've got to complete this very long straight and get back into the pit lane, and Daniel Ricciardo is going to go straight past us, and I think that is any chance of a top 5 finish out of the question. And I believe our teammate Romain Grosjean is also in the points and has overtaken us as well at this point. And we are pitting now. We don't know where we're going to rejoin, but it's not going to be in the top 5. It's going to be outside the points. So I think a low points finish will be on the cards here in China as we enter our pit lane now. Sebastian Vettel was also pitted, and we are going to fit the soft compound tyres, the much faster set of tyres now. And now our main aim is to just finish ahead of our teammate. That is our main opponent for today. Even though we've beaten him in our driver rivalry, we have to beat him out on track as we rejoin in 14th position behind the Renault of Kevin Magnussen, who I believe needs to go into the pit lane. We have already passed him, and now we've got to get ahead of Nico Hülkenberg in the Force India, and the charge is on to our teammate Romain Grosjean. There you can see on the minimap he has just exited the pit lane and now is ahead of us in 10th position. A lot of other cars haven't pitted yet, so points are still on the cards here for us, and there he is. We are actually catching him up here by a slight rate. Lewis Hamilton continuing to lead out in front on the medium compound tyres, and we have Felipe Massa also on the medium tyres right behind us. And this is going to be a very interesting fight here. Will we beat our teammate Romain Grosjean by the end of the race? We're currently in 9th position. We move on to lap 18. We're up to 7th now, and that is Kimi Raikkonen, who has just exited the pit lane. He's on medium tyres, and I think he is going to the end of the race, and we easily go around the Ferrari driver. Romain Grosjean now in 5th. We're in 6th, so we have managed to claw back some ground, and we have got into the mid-range of the points, but ourselves and I believe our teammate have to make another pit stop. But Kimi Raikkonen is going to come back at us with the faster car and the DRS assisted down the main back straight, and has taken back that 6th position. And whilst we are battling here, we're going to go and try and make a move around the outside of the hairpin, and we have defended the position. But this is actually helping Romain Grosjean an absolute treat here, because we are losing time to Kimi Raikkonen. We do still have another pit stop, so we can try and get the undercut on our teammate, and we are due into the pit lane in 2 laps time on lap 22. But Kimi Raikkonen is still going to give us a hard time going down the straight, and we are going to have to defend around the outside to try and keep position. But that is going to lose us more time to Romain Grosjean, as he is running a decent race with clear air ahead of him in 5th position. We have managed to defend position of Kimi Raikkonen, and we tried to make the charge towards Romain Grosjean, but it just wasn't enough as we go into the pit lane for our final pit stop on lap 22 for another set of the soft tyres, and this is going to be an important one. We rejoin in 11th position. Our teammate has stayed out on track, and it's going to be a very, very interesting call to see what he does, and most importantly, will we rejoin ahead of him? Here we are, the moment of truth here. Romain Grosjean has gone into the pits, and he has just gone out ahead of us, and as you can see there, he is on the super soft tyres, so that has made our day even more difficult. We have, however, on the much warmer tyres, managed to get ahead of Romain Grosjean, who still needs to warm his tyres up after just exiting the pit lane. I didn't really think about pitting for the super soft tyres, as the first set that I used went off very quickly, but we do have plenty of laps left, and Romain Grosjean is in a very good situation here as we are catching up to the back of Carlos Sainz and Jenson Button, who are squabbling over 8th position right now. And both drivers, I do believe, are on the slower medium tyres, so we should make easy work of the two of them here. Going up the inside of Carlos Sainz is going to be an ambitious move, and we do make it very ambitious. We run right on the exit, just staying ahead of Carlos Sainz. He has now fallen to the clutch of our teammate Romain Grosjean, and now he is going to be all over the back on those super soft tyres. Fernando Alonso has just retired from the race, and his teammate Jenson Button is right ahead of us, also on those slower medium tyres with only 3 laps to go. And Romain Grosjean is catching us up very, very quickly on those fast super soft tyres. On lap 26, I think he is going to try and make a move, but we will also have DRS on the McLaren just ahead of us. But Grosjean has the better traction on the supersofts, and he's going to try and make a move. We play it very, very defensive. A little bit of contact. He tries to go on the outside, and we are going to make a very rash move inside Jenson Button. There you can see someone off the track at the end of the hairpin. We are alongside the McLaren driver. Grosjean trying to make his way through as well into the final corner. We are going to switch to the inside line, I think. and a little bit of a corner cut down the McLaren drive, but somehow that wasn't an applicable move, and we move up to 8th position on the penultimate lap of the race. Romain Grosjean, I believe, is going to make easy work of the McLaren driver, and he's going to be right up behind us on those better tyres on the penultimate lap, and we try to defend as much as we can, but Grosjean just gets ahead of us. We are going to use the slipstream if we can and make a dive move going into the heavy hairpin. Seems to be our favourite passing space, and we just about use that inside line. He's going to try and fight back on the outside, but somehow we just stay ahead of our teammate. Now on to the final lap of the race. Grosjean has been keeping up with us, and because we've been battling, Sainz and Button are just there as well. It's going to be a very interesting battle for 8th position here in Shanghai, as the 2 Haas drivers, one on soft tyres, one on the very fast super softs, lead a very aggressive McLaren and Toro Rosso driver going onto the main DRS straight. Is this going to be Grosjean's chance? We try to play it defensively because he's going to make a very early attacking move. He switches to the outside line. Button is there as well, and Sainz also has DRS. I think with the own driver without DRS, as we stay to the inside line trying to defend that 8th position side by side with our teammate, and we just about force him out and stay ahead of him going into the final corner. Lewis Hamilton has taken a convincing victory here in Shanghai, but we cross the line and we have finally beaten our teammate this season. A fantastic recovery drive to 8th position in the end. We could have had a much higher result if it wasn't for that tyre puncture, but still it's points on the board, and we have finally beaten Romain Grosjean after an entertaining last couple of laps as Mercedes celebrate another victory, and it's Lewis Hamilton who returns to the top step of the podium here at the Chinese Grand Prix as Nico Rosberg and Daniel Ricciardo joins him as well. But what a recovery drive to 8th place. Like I said earlier, it could have been a top 5 finish, but we have beaten our teammate Romain Grosjean finally for the first time this season. And that is what matters in the end. And we hope to continue that form as we go on to the Russian Grand Prix, which is next up. And we showed good pace today. We were in the top 4 for a very long time. That puncture did cost us, and we end up finishing in 8th as Lewis Hamilton leads a Mercedes 1-2 across the line. And Felipe Massa interestingly had a time penalty, but I doubt we would have caught him up anyway. As we take a look now at the Drivers' Championship standings, and it's Lewis Hamilton who continues to extend his lead over Raikkonen and Rosberg despite not finishing on the podium. Kimi Raikkonen stays in 2nd, with 2 Red Bulls moving ahead of Bottas and Grosjean, who drops down to 7th, and we stick in 11th position behind Perez, Kvyat, and interestingly Sebastian Vettel, who's in 8th position in the Drivers' Championship. And taking a look at the Constructors' table, it's Mercedes who still lead, but Red Bull move ahead of Ferrari for 2nd, and we drop behind Williams for 5th. And hopefully we can get some much better points in the next race. It's going to be an interesting one. Russia is a much better track for me compared to China. There you can see the amount of resource points we earned, and we still continue to impress our team so far, currently achieving all expectations. But I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. If you have, please leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Until next time guys, this has been DMath96, and I'll catch you guys next time for the Russian Grand Prix.